And Brandon, let's move on. Next team we are looking at is the UCLA Bruins. They might be crying in UCLA because Josh Rosen is gone. He's not that far away, though. He's in Glendale, Arizona, so he's not that far from UCLA. Still kind of in the west area, southwest, not the west coast of the United States. But Bruin fans can be happy because they got a new head coach in Chip Kelly. Jim Mora Jr. is gone. Chip Kelly is now in town as the head coach of the UCLA Bruins. And many fans can be like, hey, he had success in the Pac-12. He did really good things with the Oregon Ducks. Maybe he can do the same with the UCLA Bruins. Brandon, what does this mean for UCLA now that Chip Kelly is in town and the head coach in Berkeley?
Well, it means that offensively you're getting a whole new scheme. You're getting a whole new scheme. Things are going to be much faster. He's going to want to run. If he's anything like he has been, and he will be because the man does not change, he wants to run a lot of plays very quickly, very fast, move down the field, and score quickly. And I think that sometimes can be tricky for guys to implement, especially when they have not been used to doing something like that. Chip Kelly's system is unlike any other system, but oddly enough, it seems to work. It certainly did at Oregon. That's what fans will remember. That's what fans want to see. And I think that if UCLA wants to be successful with Chip Kelly's offensive scheme, the guy they have to go with at quarterback is Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
The dual threat guy. That is much better. That's a much better fit for a Chip Kelly offense. It's a totally much better fit because I don't care at the end of the day how good a guy could or could not be in the NFL. With Chip Kelly's offense, it's all about are they like Marcus Mariota or are they not? And if they are, that's exactly what he wants. He wants the guy who is a dual threat 110% of the time.
Well, and the thing that I think about is I got to do a little bit of research here. First off, UCLA fans, don't get mad at me. When I said Berkeley, like when that came out of my mouth, for some reason I got a bad taste in my mouth, Brian. I was like, wait, that didn't sound right. You want to know why it didn't sound right? Because I did a little research. Faux pas on me. University of Cal's in Berkeley, not UCLA. So that's why the little bad taste came in my mouth. Wanted to correct myself before we get Bruins fans all mad at us because I misspoke.
I would have corrected you, but I clearly was not listening to you.
Yeah, we are. Like, you were just waiting. You were like, Ricky, just give me the question. I'm ready to go.
Get to it.
But the thing that I think about is you're right in that sense of a dual threat quarterback is better for Chip Kelly's system. I know everyone's sitting there going, well, duh, guys, tell us something we don't know. But the thing that I think about is I look back to that 2010 championship season, the 2011 technically BCS title game, and if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback that he had at Oregon for that season was Darren Thomas. And yeah, it was Darren Thomas who had about 2,800, almost 2,900 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, also had rushing yards on the ground. But like, my example in bringing him up is you don't need a guy like Marcus Mariota for Chip Kelly to be successful. Yeah, Marcus Mariota's in the NFL. He's doing some good things with the Titans, but can you tell me where Darren Thomas is? What NFL team he's on? Is he starting in the NFL? The answer to that last question is no, he's not starting in the NFL, but that does not matter to a Chip Kelly system.
No, it absolutely does not. And I think that this Thompson Robinson is one of those guys who can be really special, and the media was asking him what he believes makes him unique, and he said, and I quote, "I would just say being a playmaker, just being able to extend plays, make plays with both my arm and my feet, and a guy who's able to extend plays is a guy that you want to be having out there on your offense, leading your offense." And again, that's all about a Chip Kelly system, is being able to extend that play, whether it's your arm, whether it's your legs. He wants that guy out there 100% of the time. And also, the nice thing that Thompson Robinson also seems to have is he also seems to be experienced beyond his years, being able to point out mistakes in his game in front of other people, not be afraid about it, not want to say, no, I'm perfect. I don't need to change. The system needs to revolve around me. He's saying no. He is seeing that as a young guy. He is looking at that, and he is understanding that he can be better, that he can make changes to his game, that he's not 100% perfect, and that he's willing to learn. That is exactly who you want leading your football team.
You know who's the only guy in this quarterback room that I'm confused to why he picked UCLA?
Wilton Speight.
That's it. It's why did he pick?
Doesn't make any sense. Well, not in Chip Kelly's system.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I had to double check. I was like, wait a second. Did he commit to transfer there before they hired Chip Kelly? Because I couldn't remember the exact date. No, there's articles in November of 2017 saying, hey, by hiring Chip Kelly, this is what they're going to do. Wilton Speight chose to transfer in April. So it was well after Chip Kelly got hired. And to me, that's the biggest question. I don't think he wins the job. I mean,
Wilton? No.
Yeah, the only way I could see him winning the job is if they feel like they're going to go with experience in year one of Chip Kelly's system, because the thing with Dorian Thompson Robinson is that he is a freshman. He's very green to college. There's going to be a learning curve. If they feel like, hey, you know what, I don't want to throw him out to the wolves, maybe they decide you know what, we're going to get him experience by not having him lose a year of eligibility. We're going to redshirt him. If they decide to redshirt DTR, then I could see them maybe going with a Wilton Speight over a Modster, only because of the experience that Wilton Speight has had with a coach like Jim Harbaugh in a system like Michigan, which I know vastly different from Chip Kelly. It's not the same system at all. He's an odd fit for Chip Kelly's offense, but that's the only reason I could see Wilton Speight getting this job, is if they say, you know what, DTR, we're going to redshirt him, and Speight has more experience at quarterback than Modster does in FBS football.
I think another thing you have to look at too, Ricky, again, is that offensive line. They only have two starters returning. The rest of the line is a you-know-what show. And I think when you look at something like that, you would rather lean towards a guy who might be a dual threat guy who, again, if a play starts to break down and something is not going well up there, someone's busting right through the line, you want someone who might be able to be a little crafty and shifty and be able to, again, extend the play. And instead of a 7-yard loss, maybe it's a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, and I mean, that to me is, there's pros and cons to each of it, where that's a pro, where if you send, and I'm just going to keep calling him DTR because it's easy, if you send him behind center, he does have the legs to kind of be creative, but at the same time, there's the other side of that argument. If you don't want to get him hurt, and he's a true freshman, why not redshirt him? Why do you have to play him year one and get him maybe sacked a ton of times, hit a couple times, a lot of times, because your offensive line is inferior this year? That's where I think the decision might come down to, is the decision of, and I'll ask you kind of in your mind, although I know you're saying you would start him, so I'm not asking would you or not, but what do you see any benefit to the argument of maybe, hey, let's take Thompson Robinson and redshirt him this year and start him next year as a redshirt freshman?
I could see that, but
because Jameis Winston did that route.
I could see that, but here's the problem, Rookie, is that UCLA has been off the map in Los Angeles for so long. They're losing to USC. They're losing the battlefield to USC right now. Well, they certainly are, but here's the thing. They're losing the battlefield to every other Los Angeles team.
True.
USC, Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles Chargers are being talked about more than they are. UCLA is the lost football team right now. Yeah. It is the redheaded stepchild, and it's like, oh, UCLA played again today. Oh, they played this weekend? How'd they do? Who cares? How about USC, though?
So
and I'm not UCLA fans. I'm not trying to knock your team. I'm just saying, hold on. I'm not trying to knock your team. I'm trying to say that you now have Chip Kelly. Rosen is gone. You don't have that guy. You don't have that piece to be able to get excited about. You're now excited about Chip Kelly. Why not try and continue with this excitement and try and bring some wins and get the fan base more reinvigorated here in year one instead of having maybe a dismal kind of year one under Chip Kelly and waiting until next year. That's all I wanted to say. The
question I was going to ask and kind of infuse is, so you're saying...
You can infuse now.
So you were saying that if they didn't have Josh Rosen last year, we wouldn't have talked about UCLA.
No, why would we have?
Us being the national media would have not talked about UCLA.
There would have been zero reason to talk about UCLA. Without Josh Rosen, there's no reason.
Yeah, wouldn't have talked about his hot tub, that's for sure.
No, I mean, but there was no reason. Josh Rosen, we clearly knew Josh Rosen, his talent, he was going to be a first-round NFL talent. Yeah. Clearly he fell too low in his mind, but... That's the only reason. There was nothing else. I mean, there was no one at the caliber or the level that Josh Rosen was to be able to talk about him. I mean, you look at a team like a San Diego State. The only time anyone ever talked about them was because of Rashad Penny. Yeah. Without Rashad Penny, no one knows about San Diego State. They're not even sure if that school is still playing football. I mean, that is way dramatic, but that's exactly kind of how it goes. And UCLA does not want to fall off the map. Now, UCLA is so big, and they're not going to fall off the map completely, but they are getting so far behind USC. If UCLA picks up their game this year and USC takes a step back, maybe UCLA gets and grabs a couple of the covers of the newspaper as opposed to USC taking it every week.
Well, and the thing that I'm going to also say is what kind of also plays into it is recruiting. And both UCLA and USC finished in the top 4 of Pac-12 recruiting. UCLA was at 4, USC was at 1. The thing that I feel like is in that sense of popularity and losing LA, the thing that will be interesting is will guys want to, like Wilton Spate, we both said it. Why did he choose UCLA? I'll give you a reason. To play for Chip Kelly, probably. To play for Chip Kelly. Maybe it's also he's a grad transfer, so they had a really good grad program that he wants. Like that could be also a reason why he chose UCLA, but I wonder how many guys are going to flock to UCLA just because of Chip Kelly. And that, to me, is why this move, when they made it, it's going to start a little bit of a recruiting war for the Trojans and the Bruins, especially for the LA area. Because right now, like you said, UCLA is winning, or not UCLA, USC is winning, but UCLA, to me, has the more marquee name at head coach. Like, Helton's not bad, but Chip Kelly is like mega superstar name when it comes to the ranks of college football coaches.
And that's why I think if Chip Kelly, and you're right, and if Chip Kelly is able to show that he can win this year, he's going to continue to get he's going to get better recruits. And you want to be able to stockpile on as many recruits as you can every single year. I mean, you want to be up there and in the top recruiting classes if you can be. You want to be able to stockpile those. You want to be able to have 3 good quarterbacks coming your way. You want to have that problem as opposed to, well, I've got this guy who's thrown 5 passes, or I've got this guy who's he's okay. You'd rather be in the, wow, we've got 3 4-star recruits and we're not sure which one we're going to go with. That's a better situation to be in than having 2 dopes.
Well, the thing that I kind of look at is I started looking at the schedule, and I'm going to make a comparison here, or I'm looking to see if I could possibly make a comparison. Yes, I can.
He can.
You know what's funny? I'm going to say it right now. Their second game, they're going to beat the Sooners. You want to know why?
I do want to know why.
The main difference is Baker Mayfield. Take that in your mind. Take Baker Mayfield in your mind and throw him out the window. Yep. He's the only thing that's different.
Yep.
However, look at Ohio State in 2016 was a team that lost one game to Penn State. They went on to the college football playoff. They lost in the semifinal to, I believe, did Clemson, was that the year Clemson won it? Was the 2017 national championship?
No, they won it in 2016, did they not?
No,
because 2017 would have been Alabama, 2016 would have been Clemson.
So this is the year. 2016, the championship would have been in 2017. This was the year Clemson won the national title. But Ohio State lost in the semifinal game. Last year, Oklahoma beat that team on the road in Columbus, went on to only lose how many games? One, lost in the college football playoff semifinal. So if that trend continues, I'm not going on the second level of this. I'll just say that my surprise pick of UCLA over Oklahoma week 2, but wouldn't it be funny if that trend continued? All right, a team that lost in the semifinal, they play them week 2 in Norman, Oklahoma. They beat them. I'm not saying UCLA goes on to the college football playoff, but that would be funny. I'm just saying that the trend will continue and Oklahoma will lose against UCLA. That is a marquee game for me, and not just because it's UCLA, Oklahoma, but because of what we're talking about. If you want to show recruits that the times in UCLA are a-changing, Chip Kelly's got to win that game. He's got to beat Murray. He's got to beat Lincoln Riley and win that game. Because even though then he doesn't win the Pac-12 South, let's say he doesn't, guys are going to look at that game and go, that is something special. This team can win. Maybe with me, they do win the South. They beat a team like Oklahoma. They win the South. And then with that, we go on and win the whole Pac-12. And then we're in the playoff. That's how you get in recruits' heads. And you make them start thinking about that. That game to me, throw the entire Pac-12 out. That to me, the game at Norman, Oklahoma could be the most important game to the future of the Bruins in UCLA.
I think we're looking here at a possible 8-5 season this year for UCLA, which would not be a bad season. I do not believe that they'll beat Oklahoma, especially not in Oklahoma. And then I don't see them beating Washington. I think they lose to Utah. Mm-hmm. They don't get USC and they don't get Stanford. I think that they could win the rest of those games.
So say the last three again. I wasn't paying attention after Oklahoma, to be honest.
Utah. Ricky's like, stop giving a crap about what you had to say.
I was looking up last year's standings.
No, you're fine. So I have them losing to Oklahoma, Washington, Utah, USC, and Stanford. And I know that those last three are all at home, so you would think that maybe one of those they get. But
Utah.
if they did, that would move them from being 8-5 to 9-4. But I think an 8-5 team this year is not far off. I don't see that as unrealistic.
It's two more wins than they had last year, depending on how many. Let's see, they only lost how many? You said 4 conference games this year. That's one more game that they would win in conference that they didn't win last year. The only game out of those 4 that I would say I could see flipping to the other side is Utah. That's the only one that I could maybe see flipping to the other side. But the question is quarterback. And I'll say this. UCLA, if they're going to beat Oklahoma in their second game, it's going to either come down to they're playing Wilton Spate and his experience is going to help them, or they're playing DTR and his athletic ability and his dual threat ability is just going to be too much for Oklahoma. I still look at that game and I go, that is the most important game on their schedule to me because of what it could mean in a recruit's eye, in just the public eye of like, hey, this team might not be ready to win the Pac-12 South right now, but Chip Kelly can coach this team and they're going to shock some people. They're going to not be afraid to play anyone. I know Oklahoma fans are probably getting all mad at me. What's worse, me saying that UCLA is going to beat Oklahoma, or Sean on the Oklahoma podcast saying that Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic are going to beat Oklahoma in week 1? Because he did say that. Remember that. He did book that game as a Owls win for Florida Atlantic over the Sooners. You were not there that week.
Well, that's what happens when you do a lot of crack cocaine. But no, I just I see this UCLA Bruins team being better this season. I think that I don't see them winning the South, but I don't see how this team can take a step backwards. That's what I think, and I don't think Chip Kelly is a godsend. I don't think that. I think that he's a good coach, but he also needs like all the right pieces for his system to work. When he was at Oregon, when he was at Oregon, excuse me,
the Oregon Trail.
I don't know what I was saying there. I was like, I don't know. But Oregon, when he was at Oregon, he had all the right pieces. The stars just
aligned.
Boom. They just aligned. Absolutely. And he's going to need that to happen here at UCLA. And that's going to take a little bit. But once they do, watch out. So in another 2-3 years, this UCLA team could be competing for Pac-12 championships and then possibly playoff spots, but it won't be this year.
I know there's going to be some UCLA fans that look and go, guys, Chip Kelly walked in as the head coach of Oregon and went 10-3, 8-1 in conference, won the Pac-12. We're going to win the Pac-12 this year. I say pump the brakes. And the reason why I say that is when you look back at that, Oregon was pretty much a machine. Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator to whoever was above him. I can't remember. Oregon fans who are watching this, help me out. But it was basically he was the offensive coordinator to the system of the head coach above him. Head coach left. Chip Kelly took over. Boom. The system kept chugging. It was just a new head to the top of that. It was supposed to be the same thing when Chip Kelly left. Chip Kelly leaves. Helfrich gets the job, but the train got derailed from there and didn't really work. UCLA is going to be interesting for me this year just because of Chip Kelly. One thing I will say, I know we didn't say much about the defense, but the one thing I will say about the defense is that it'll be interesting to see how they switch from their old defense over to a 3-4 alignment that Chip Kelly is going to move them into. This year is going to be a lot of transition for UCLA. It's going to be kind of a transition year for Chip Kelly, more of one than what he had in his first year at Oregon. And to me, I go back, I wouldn't be surprised if they give the job to like a Wilton Spate this year and redshirt the freshman quarterback because they don't want to waste a year of eligibility on a transition year.
Mark Helfrich, whoever.
Yeah, he's now at the Bears.
Tomato.
Yeah, he's now the offensive coordinator for Matt Nagy and the Bears. He took over, didn't go so hot, then Willie Taggart came in. And now we're at where we're at now with the Oregon Ducks. But we'll look at them next week. This is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. What do you expect from Chip Kelly in year 1? Who do you want to be the starting quarterback? And do you think that DTR gets redshirted this year, his freshman year, and starts taking over the team as a redshirt freshman next year? Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.